£105 million for Declan Rice. What is the world coming to? Declan Rice is this generation's Gareth Barry, and he's going to Arsenal for £105 million. In this video, I'm going to break down what it means for Arsenal, of course, Man City, and the player himself. It's one of the biggest transfers in the history of football, in British football history, in the Premier League. It's crazy money. It's crazy, embarrassing money from Arsenal. That's just the... You can stop watching the video now. That's the end of the video. It's embarrassing. It's crazy. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Tons of transfer videos coming out. Let's just start off with what we know. City have pulled out of the race. They offered, I think, 95 plus 5 million in add-ons, which is £100 million. West Ham want 120, and Arsenal have gone to 105, and it means that Arsenal are the only club interested now, from all accounts. And obviously, West Ham still aren't happy, and it's not a confirmed deal. It could rise to 110, 115. I think Declan Rice will put a transfer request in, or at least say to the club, come on, 105 million for me. I'm Gareth Barry I'm Cockney Gareth Barry. Come on. It's absolutely crazy. And the reason I'm saying that about Gareth Barry, Declan Rice is a limited midfielder. He is limited. I'm sorry. He's not Jude Bellingham. I could argue Jude Bellingham could end his career world class at any aspect of being a midfielder. He's got a fantastic ability to score goals, passing, defensive work, his physicality. He's a Steven Gerrard. Declan Rice is more of an Owen Hargreaves, a Michael Carrick. He's a bit slower on the ball. He's a bit... I don't think he's got the physicality of a Jude Bellingham. And I don't think he'll ever end up being a 20 goal a season scoring midfielder. He's never going to be Frank Lampard, and he doesn't have the technical ability to be Paul Scholes. He's fantastic. I love Declan Rice for what he's done for England. He's a Gareth Barry type who kept it simple, and people mug off Gareth Barry. He kept it simple. He worked hard. He never lost the ball. And Declan Rice does that very, very well. That's why he was the best player at West Ham. He wasn't scoring 30 goals a season at West Ham. He's got about 1 every 11 appearances for West Ham. It's absolutely shocking numbers. Take the money into it. But the reason he was so good for West Ham is because he was the one player that had quality on the ball, which is not losing it, which is recycling possession, keeping it simple, and keeping West Ham going up the pitch. Without him, they would have got relegated. There's no question about it. And West Ham deserve to be relegated if they don't take £105 million. That is the crux of the argument. Arsenal, if you take the money away, sign a fantastic player, the right age category, good on the ball, he'll fit the Arteta system, 1,000,000%, can play anywhere in midfield. In an emergency, even as a centre-back, he'd probably be their best centre-back. That's the truth. I love Declan Rice. He's a player that's helped England to the next stage of international football for England since 1966. He's been one of the most important England midfielders ever. It's as simple as that. Because at the Euros, he was absolutely fantastic with Calvin Phillips. But he's closer to Calvin Phillips than he is to Jude Bellingham. And Jude Bellingham's gone to Real Madrid for 115, 20 million quid. This kid's generational. He could end up being a top-level midfielder ever. Declan Rice will be a top England midfielder ever. That's the difference in class and quality, in my opinion. Talks about Arsenal. We have to talk about Man City, letting it go. You have to say, the City hierarchy let Van Dijk go. That was a mistake. Maguire, Jorginho, Koulibaly, loads of others. When a City transfer doesn't work out financially, the club have their own independent valuation, and if we can't get there with all the goodwill in the world, I think we were actually probably stretching our own valuation, getting to 95 plus 5 million add-ons. From my understanding, I think the club were close to 90, so 90 is a good bit of business. You know, a bit like the Calvin Phillips deal, even though it didn't work out, at 50 million, and we put him on a 6-7 year contract for an England international, is actually really good value at the time. Obviously, he's had injuries, not played much football. 90 million gets closer to that kind of range, and that says a lot. They saw him closer to the kind of Calvin Phillips range versus being a Galactico of the kind of proportions, again, of Jude Bellingham. Declan Rice money, we're talking, this is Zidane going to Real Madrid money with inflation. You know, for 110, I think it'll go higher than 105, by the way. I think it'll go 110, 115 million. That's kind of, Arsenal have to win the Premier League with that kind of net outlay. They have to go on. He has to drive them to win the Premier League next season. He has to drive them to get to the Champions League. So he has to be beating sides in the Champions League semi-final. He has to be making Arsenal hard to beat against Juventus next season. Against well, maybe not Juventus, but you know, one of the big Italian sides, Dortmund next season, for example. He has to be dominating in midfield against some of these guys. We don't know if he's Champions League quality yet. We don't know. We don't know. We've seen players move. We still don't know about that player. That's just the reality. Let's just talk about where it leaves City in terms of our squad. Now, City actually have a beautiful deal with Kovacic. Obviously, just got confirmed yesterday. That makes a lot of sense. 25 million quid. He's got the ceiling to go higher. Great caliber. Already played in the Champions League, Real Madrid. Won the Champions League with Real Madrid. Won the Champions League with Chelsea. Played in the Champions League final. I mean, Declan Rice has barely played European football. Look, the Conference League is big for West Ham. West Ham were borderline Championship when I was growing up. So that's the level. It's not champagne, is it, West Ham? It's not champagne football. It's a basic kind of lager. It's a £3.50 pint in the arse end of nowhere. That's where Declan Rice has been playing, with all due respect. Can he make that step up? I think he has got the quality to be a fantastic player. I think he's got the quality to be that kind of Owen Hargreaves type. But I've seen players... I look at James Milner. James Milner is a great example. He was playing at Aston Villa. He was playing in midfield for Martin O'Neill's side, playing in the middle of midfield. He was absolutely unplayable for a season. People forget about this. He was playing in midfield, centre midfield for Aston Villa, getting them close to the Champions League. City came in and offered 30 million. He was never good enough to play in midfield for City. That's under Mancini and Pellegrini. He ended up playing as a false nine for Pellegrini. He ended up playing all over midfield as a kind of right midfielder tucked in. He was never trusted to play in the centre of midfield when Yaya, David Silva, even Gareth Barry, Nigel de Jong were all there. He just wasn't trusted, whether that's right or wrong. Declan Rice, it feels like that. Sometimes when a player moves up, look, he was a good servant for us, James Milner. Declan Rice could have been a good servant for City. And the issue with £105 million plus is that he has to go to Arsenal, not be a good servant. He has to be a future captain. He has to be a future leader. He has to galvanise Arsenal to take a step up. This isn't joke money. £105 million, £60 million on Havertz, potentially Timber for £40, £50 million. That's another £210 million. If Arsenal fans are still complaining at the end of the summer that they haven't spent enough and City are ruining football, it's absolutely embarrassing. Net spend the last 5 years, more than City, more than 95% of European clubs for Arsenal. That's just the reality. So I'm just putting the argument out there. With that kind of outlay, they absolutely have to be better next season in terms of... Well, they had a fantastic season last season, and maybe Declan Rice comes in and changes things in terms of the leadership that I think they lacked with Thomas Partey, with Odegaard at points in midfield last season, at the back end of the season when they fell apart. I think Declan Rice offers that. He offers that 1,000,000%. Is it enough for £105 million? What if he gets injured early? Are Arsenal back to square one? It's absolutely mental. Gareth Barry 2.0, £105 million going to Arsenal. It's absolutely loony. I can't wait till they come 6th next season.